GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.
I didn't work for 8 years after marriage because I had both my kids. So it just felt that you don't feel proud walking out of a film where the woman they haven't shown the woman right, and you feel like this is not us. We're not like this. We don't wear these kind of clothes at home, or we don't behave like this, or we don't run behind the husband or any man or a boyfriend in this way. I did my first 10 years of my work were largely to get films with bigger heroes. I did choose my roles even then. I didn't just come and dance with them, but it was largely to get the big hero films, the money, everything. As it went to the next 5 years, it was all about, okay, now I need to stand for my role. Then came marriage, and I think marriage changes a lot. Definitely, I did visit a couple of offices after the film. Since I came from Bombay, it was always a dream to make it big in your own language. But I clearly knew it's not working. And luckily, I had that one film, and I had a channel, and then that really worked out. So I just drifted away. I was a teenager. It hurt me. My first film didn't run. I cried, as kids would cry. And but then you have to move on. None of the films went for a national award in my first younger innings. But Murli, yes, it was very special. It does feel bad when you miss it, by just that one vote. Suriya's family is very real, very down to earth.
True.
We still follow the village traditions at home. I decide my projects, and we both decide his. Leaving my career, quitting was not even, I was happy not to be in the caravan for a while. And when you see your babies, there's no bigger joy. So it never felt like I gave up something for that. So I have said no to a lot of big work, which has been absolutely my choice because I felt I didn't belong in that zone. So definitely, I think we should learn to stand tall without wearing those heels.
There's a quiet elegance about the person sitting next to me. There's beauty in her silences. In fact, she's someone who knows her position and channels herself with so much dignity, elegance, and intellect. Without saying anything else, I will welcome Jyotika ma'am on Galatta India She Can, and I couldn't have had anybody better than you to start this off. Thank you for doing this. Genuinely, thank you.
Thank you, Nayandeep. Actually, I'm a big fan of all your interviews.
Thank you.
You do such a great job. And so genuine, so honest, and so real, and candid about the way you speak.
I think it's when you said this before the camera also, I know that this is something that makes me the happiest. And with somebody like you, I've seen a few of your conversations, ma'am, and I know how spontaneous and how amazing you are because you've been a trailblazer yourself, but you also are that one person who will push that other woman right next to you to become one if they have that ambition too. And it's incredibly good to have somebody who fights not just for herself, but also equally fights for everybody around. But it must not have been easy. I watched Shaitaan, and I have to tell you that we should just clap for you because I've had goosebumps watching you on screen. And I'm not lying.
Thank you.
I'm not lying. I don't know that's why I said that there's beauty in your silences. How do you manage to extract so much with the eyes? I think every muscle in your body can act like that.
No, it's just that when you sign a film, and especially at this stage where I've done a whole lot of work in South, there's a whole lot of varied body of work. I feel personally that I can only sign a film today when I really connect to it in some way or the other. And as far as Shaitaan goes, I think both my kids were the age of Janvi and Angad. So Janki in real life, Janki and Angad. So I feel it just felt like it's happening to my kids. So I think, and I feel silence is the strongest way of emoting. You see women, there's a lot of power in their silence. And in any threshold of life, they are the ones who adapt. They are the ones who, multitask. And it's always, of course, we have the talkative ones, but there's a large, silence is a large part of their life. There's a lot of adjustments, which is again silence.
I feel even the talkative ones have so much silence in them. Women especially, because they are so good at adapting, adjusting. I would not say use the word compromising, but there are so many times that they're so sacrificing. Mothers are so sacrificing by nature.
Yeah.
And when I see you on screen as a mother in Shaitaan, it's such a difficult film to shoot and emote because we are watching the finished product. I was just discussing with Manoj sir also before this that half of the times when horror films or films in that genre don't work, it's because of the reactions, because
Yeah.
you as an actors have to react to something which is is not true, right? We are seeing it and we are reacting to it because we believe that it's true, because the scares are there. How difficult was this film for you emotionally to do and to like take you through that entire process?
Like I said, because my kids were the same age, it felt like it's just happening to us. And I think similarly for Ajay,
Yeah.
his kids were the same age. We
Yeah.
both have my daughter's 16 and my son is 13. So it just felt like them. So it actually wasn't difficult to perform. But yes, it was very difficult to take in that shock and that upbringing of children today
Yeah.
is such a responsibility. I think that factor hit all of us very hard, that you know this is how, like, we have to protect our kids, and multiple things, whether it's social media, whether it's kala jadoo, whether whatever. So I think there's a lot of parental protection which is required today. That hit us every evening, when we went back and we discussed, shit, what if this actually happened to any
It's
of
true.
us? What if this guy just got into our house and this was happening to us? So it felt very close to reality. That's what affected us.
And 25 years, I feel like it's a loss for the Hindi film industry to
Thank
not
you.
have somebody as incredibly gifted an artist to
Thank you.
do films here. What stopped you? Were the right films not coming to you?
Actually, it was a journey which just drifted away into the south, and then I did very well there, and I got very varied and different
Yeah.
kind of characters, and of course I fell in love with the man I'm married to. So there was no reason for me to divert and look back here. But also, frankly speaking, there wasn't a lot of work coming from Hindi
Yeah.
either. Many people do think I'm South Indian, so probably they thought maybe I don't know the language. That's why I specified that I
That's
know
true.
Hindi at the audio function, at the trailer release. But also another factor is that I got too involved there. That's it. The body of work which
You were
I
also
got
creating
there.
them. Yeah.
I'm only thankful, that I did drift away and I got all that to play. It's been a wonderful journey, and today drifting back to Mumbai again feels like a dream, and it's so unplanned. And the best part about all this, when I see on a larger picture, is that today North and South is one.
Absolutely.
And it feels great, Yeah, I'm no more have to battle and fight for the North Indians there or the South Indians here. It's like, it feels like, okay, now we're all one. Language is no barrier.
And it's so beautiful to have that because, ma'am, I'm from Calcutta. I have been working in Mumbai for the last 10 years, and today I'm working with a company who has made a mark in South, and we have launched it in
Yes.
Mumbai. And it's such a varied, diversified culture that we live in, and I think there's acceptance, which is beautiful. Every love story starts with an acceptance,
Right.
and I feel this is the best love story that has happened between film industries and
Yeah.
actors who have had film releases at a time when people used to typecast artists and actors based on the languages that they speak or the languages that they acted in, like South Indian actor hai, Bengali actor hai, Marathi, and it was not with respect. Sometimes it could just be very condescending. How did you deal with that today, that when that doesn't happen, and how do you react to that now?
Today it's great. I mean, people are looking up to South. See, earlier I hadn't drifted back here, so I wouldn't know that if they weren't really, accepting South people then, because I was always like Chennai based. It's been 27 years
That's true.
I lived there. But today, I must say, on a very positive side, we were really respected. I was very thankful to Ajay and Kumarji that this film just came home, and they gave us all that due respect, even in publicity, poster sharing, everything.
Absolutely.
The film is largely, of course, on Madhavan and Janki's story, but we all were given that place, and we all were given our scenes, our roles, and it didn't feel. In fact, there was a lot of respect involved.
Yeah.
We felt like they are like South, wow. Malayalam film industry, even more wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Tamil film industry, wow. Like it felt like we've arrived. All of us are now all one. It did feel that way.
And the love that is coming.
Yes.
Numbers are something that usually I hate speaking about, because to restrict a film to a particular number is not good. But when the numbers are huge, it also depicts the love that is coming. This is a film
Yeah.
that has only showed growth. And I think, when trade pundits were expecting a certain figure for day one, it almost hit home with a huge margin, and it
Yeah.
never stopped, and it's a huge hit. It's like a blockbuster hit, to be very honest, compared to the budget that it was made on.
Yes.
How does that make you feel, the reception that you've been getting from everybody?
I think, me and Madhavan have been in constant discussions about this, that wow, this film has broken some rules. That, yeah, if you have a good story, you can make the film in one house. And,
Absolutely.
you need, it can get as real as this. We are all wearing,
The
one,
same,
one,
yeah,
one
almost.
costume throughout the whole film. And we are all looking so real. And, the whole thing, the whole atmosphere, there's not a little bit of the fake element in the film. So all this, I think reality connects with a common man. I feel that
Absolutely.
this film is quite an example of that. And it has broken a lot. There's not a large amount of action. There are no item songs. There's no
Absolutely.
extra bit of anything of those X factors which we consider are really
Commercial,
play a big
yeah.
part in the marketing strategy. So I think it breaks a lot of rules, and it's great to know that something real, something made from the heart, something made so quickly. This film was shot in about 35 days.
Oh wow.
Something made so quickly and with a lot of passion. Hats off to Ajay and Kumarji for even picking this subject and saying, let's just go ahead and make it. So I think all these things are very exciting to know. I think breaking rules is like really, it makes you feel like bullseye.
But haven't you been doing it all your life? Like, if it seems like you've been doing it all your life right now, because I feel that you have channelized your position into creating and choosing films that have set a narrative, and a good narrative for other women to follow.
Yeah.
To be very honest, when you debuted, women in any film industry or in the entertainment business were treated a certain way. Their roles were treated a certain way. Today, that has shifted because women like you refuse to bow down to the pressures and to the demands. Because I think today you guys have made sure that there is a demand for strong female characters in every project.
Yeah, it was very simple actually. As a woman, I felt when I saw a film. So I took I didn't work for 8 years after marriage because I had both my kids. So it just felt that you don't feel proud walking out of a film where the woman they haven't shown the woman right, and
Yeah.
you feel like this is not us. We're not like this. We don't wear these kind of clothes at home, or we don't behave like this, or we don't run behind the husband or any man or a boyfriend in this way. So it just felt like, how wrong are they, in projecting the characters? So it was a conscious decision. I've seen my mom-in-law, my mom, all the women at home. They have been such stalwarts, and such.
True.
I mean, the whole family is together because of them, and not a part of that is being depicted on screen. So it was like a conscious decision that any woman walking out of my film is going to feel bloody proud when she does. So it was a choices I've made, and God's there. He's really blessed me that they all are running. I'm also not looking at, that, oh, I have to be a protagonist, I have to be this crusader running the show. No. I feel even if there are two good scenes which women connect to, for example, Shaitaan, there's a scene where she goes to hit Mary.
Yeah.
And that shows a mother's love
First
and
person
power.
in the entire film who actually attacks.
Yeah. So I think even those two good scenes, I just want the women to have their head held high when they walk out of the theatre and feel, wah, kya mara, that. So I feel it's important to make them proud.
I would have come to this a little later, but because you spoke about the scenes, I have to tell you that that's my most favorite scene from Shaitaan.
Thank you. Mine too.
I was, you feel anger, you feel helplessness in your eyes, especially in the scene where she's standing and she's peed, and you're like, बच्ची है उसको जाने दो कपड़े बदलने, and then when you see that this is not being respected, there's a certain line that's being crossed. You as a mother, you attack, and the most beautiful part of that entire scene is they didn't show anything that a mother wouldn't do. They showed exactly how a mother would attack.
Yeah.
You were biting, you were grappling, you were hitting him with whatever you got. They didn't show you as this super woman who has just come and had some superpowers, but you had the power of a mother.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Shaitaan, because it was as relatable as it could get. That scene, how difficult was it for you to shoot that scene as a mother? Because it's difficult for us to see it, although we laud you after the scene.
It was difficult for two reasons. One, for the story,
Yeah.
for what is actually happening. The second big difficulty was that was Madhavan, and we are buddies. And we worked as co-stars in the past 20 years ago. So to scream and say, "Ah," and jump on him and hit him felt really, I don't know, it just felt very different. But difficult, yeah, it was, because it also gave me a high. I felt very powerful. I felt like, okay, this is really the power of a woman. I felt like Durga. I felt like,
Yes.
Kali. I felt like every goddess there who symbolizes power. That was the reason I was even in this film. I just said, okay, that one scene. And all through the cast also gave me a graph of,
Yeah.
Joe, this is not a mother who's going to go and keep, nudging the husband and saying, "Usse bacha lo, usse bacha lo." This is going to be a mom who's going to take her own stand.
Absolutely.
So that was the reason I even came on board this film. So I think it was difficult, but very, very fulfilling. Very fulfilling experience.
Absolutely. I think people, can I just say this on camera, and I mean it? There are incredible performers in every scene. The film is primarily about 5 characters. Everybody has acted brilliantly, but I think you are the best.
Oh,
And I
thank
think
you.
you are the most incredible.
That's really sweet. Thank you.
I had goosebumps when I saw the fear and the helplessness in your eyes, man.
Thank you.
And genuinely, that scene where she's on that cylinder and you're going, and then, it's a very difficult film to watch as a viewer.
Yeah.
And I have a niece who's 11 years old, and it makes you feel very helpless in your
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
And if that film can do that, and if that expression and that eye movement can do that to you, then I think you have a winner. And you have, I don't know, how do I even put it? People will say that it's not fake at all. I just felt we had goosebumps. Me and my sister was like, look at her.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God, she's
But
killing
it did feel to me like my own daughter was sitting there. Like I said, every moment of it felt very real. And we also shot this film linear, as
Yeah.
in the way you see it is the way we shot it. So it was going in succession. So we were like, it was like a story unfolding to
Yeah.
us also. So it
difficult.
was a tough one. I think more for Janki than any of us.
Yeah.
She was performing this for the second time, and she was brilliant. She was just so in control of her emotions and everything, and we were so happy that, when you see young talent who's really genuine and doing so well. I mean, we all wanted this to run for her as a team, more than any of us. We wanted this to happen for her. It was largely her film. Of course, Madhavan's film too.
Of
He
course.
was great, but
No, I think it was
as a
everybody's
newcomer,
film.
it was largely her film.
I think it was
which-
everybody's film, and you were
Yeah.
outstanding in it. I will
Thank
stick
you.
to. I can say this in front of the entire cast that everybody was outstanding, not
Thank
taking
you.
away anything. But my favorite was your character. and
Thank you.
in the
Thank
film.
you.
And that's why I messaged you the next morning, because I was like, it's too late right now. I watch a late night show, this movie late night, and then I was like, the first thing I'm gonna do in the morning is wake up, message
Thank
her,
you.
and
Thank you,
request her.
Nayandeep. It was really very overwhelming. Thank you.
Ma'am, another scene. Now we are talking about scenes. So I watched your movie Kaathal.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you the scene which I was gonna speak about. It's such a lovely, lovely film. It's good to see superstars like you and Sir take up films like this, because not many do that.
Yes.
I hope that this shifts the whole idea that this is a film, this is a topic that can be loved. Yes, it's progressive, but I think audience wanted it and audiences loved it. The one scene now I'm going to talk about is that scene where you both are in the bed, and there's one scene where it's just in the eyes and the distance, and in the eyes and your expression we realize that this is not the first time that you're going through it.
Yeah.
That this has been happening to you over years. So much said with such little words is the beauty of an artist. And it's such a scene that can tug at anybody's hearts, and that can make anybody connect with your character. How difficult was it for you to do that? How do you manage to do that?
No, we were just, again, the director, we were given a graph. And every time, Gio baby, the director of the
Yeah.
film, every time he just told both of us, Mammootty sir and me, one thing. This has been going on last 20 years. It's not new to you. You're not going to perform. This is not something you're showcasing. What we are showcasing to the audience is the monotony of this relationship, and that this has just become life. So, and you love each other, and you respect each other. So that was like everyday brief to us every morning. And if, you'd be surprised, most of the shots in that film are all first takes. We haven't gone seldom for a second take. So it's, as I feel, always the first time when you emote, it's extremely real. And we didn't even rehearse. We didn't even know what we're going to say. So Mammootty sir says, my Deva May, enter Deva May, which means my angel, my. Yeah. So I think that was just added by him, during the shot. We told each other, let's just take this shot. And I think that's how magic unfolds. When you don't know what's going to, because that's the real life, right? Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen, you've not planned. Yeah. And then you're just out there looking at each other. And I think that the base of any good expression is as real as the atmosphere can be, and the director, of course. But yeah, it's one of my most precious films. Yeah. I feel that's one film where we conveyed a lot with silence. And that was new for me after doing 40-50 films down south. That felt new, to convey something with silence. And I think it's working the same mold with Shaitaan. So I'm feeling there is there's some beauty in your silence. I've told you. And another factor, as you said, that the male counterparts must do this. I think they bring how much of a big superstars women are on cinema. I think the larger change is made by the men. And I feel whether it's Mammootty sir in Kaathal, who decided to do such a daring role, or it is Ajay here, who decided to give Madhavan the front, be the front runner, and also give him the title. Yeah, I think it's commendable. Yeah. And when I see men do this kind of, who are so comfortable in their own sleeve and so confident and secure, I feel, wow, cinema is like really going to grow now. Because the kind of fan following, the kind of numbers, I mean, they can bring, and the kind of mind change the heroes can bring to a common man's, mindset, I think they are largely responsible, right? And I'm very lucky that I got to work with two such stalwarts, and there's a lot of learning in the last two films. Probably it's equivalent to the learning in the last 40 films. These two films have sort of just the same amount of learning. So I feel there's a lot of growth.
When you speak about your choices in films, I think from the time you made that comeback into movies, I think something changed in you. There was some kind of a change in the way you viewed yourself, for others to view you differently. And that's the first step, right, towards acceptance, that you would have to accept yourself the way you want others to view you. What was that shift, ma'am? Because from 36, Vedanile, have I said it right?
Perfect, yeah.
Yay! I think there's been, all the films that you've done is extremely different from each other. Yeah. And it's not about the profession or the character traits. It's about what you bring to the character that mattered. Like you said, that there were scenes in every film that actually had impact. What changed in you before we go into the scenes?
I think it's every 10 years in a woman's life brings about a huge change in the way she thinks. Like if I really rewind back when I was young, and I did my first 10 years of my work were largely to get films with bigger heroes. I did choose my roles even then. I didn't just come and dance with them, but it was largely to get the big hero films, the money, everything. As it went to the next 5 years, it was all about, okay, now I need to stand for my role. Then came marriage, and I think marriage changes a lot. Like, it's all self-love before that. But once you're married, it's selflessness. It's more for your kids, it's for your husband, it's for the love of others. And that emotion, I think, changes a lot within you. You start looking at things from another person's perspective. And I think also it's just got this whole, I don't know, it's got a beauty of depth. You feel very deep inside because you're selfless. And that brings a huge change, I think, in a woman's life. And of course, like I said, I saw women around me. When in your younger days, it's just you, or your hairdresser, or there are very few women down south. Absolutely. Actually. That's something we must discuss. Though we still not had too many women on set.
That has still not changed.
No, we have very few. Of course, the ad world is different, but movies, we still need to have a lot of, like I just did a web series for XL Entertainment, and I was
Dabba Kaathal,
and I was absolutely like pleasantly surprised to see that 80% of the crew were women. You know, it was a conscious
Lovely.
decision, by Sunita Ram, who's heading the show, and Shabani. And I just said, wow, this is a different atmosphere also to work in. It's not always the destination, right? It's the journey which counts. And we were like a gang of girls there having fun all through, and it was wonderful. But coming back to your answer, I think I saw a lot of women around me at home, and I saw that they really multitask, and I felt like we are so away from the characters which we're doing. So then I started choosing films which depicted each woman at home. I've done 2-3 films where I've played a housewife alone.
Yeah.
But each housewife has a different
Different
shade
arc.
to her.
Yes, exactly what I was
So
coming
I
to.
felt like, wow, this is where it can really reach out to people. And all those films did well. And I think that's where, my choosing the content and all came from. One is marriage, selflessness, love for the kids. And the other is seeing the real life women around me.
And it's so beautiful because when you say this, I remember I was interviewing Shah Rukh Khan. After that was just after Dear Zindagi, and Dear Zindagi is a film which has Alia headlining it, and he has come and done a very special part. And Gauri Shinde was directing it. He said there's something so beautiful about women directors, female directors, that I only want to work with women around me because they bring in that sense of empathy and kindness even to work. And so many actresses who have worked in the 90s in Bollywood also, because there was no representation, like you said, except the hairdresser maybe,
Yeah.
or the makeup person. Only one person in the entire team would be a woman and everybody else would be men. They've said that they've seen a gradual change in Bollywood in that respect, at least.
Yeah,
where
there
are
is
more,
a huge change.
Yeah.
Huge. We're trying in South. We do. It started, but you still seldom. It's fewer. The
Yeah.
women are fewer. But hoping it's all everything's changing. And as I say now, it's no more South and North. So it's looking
Yeah.
like it's all blending, and it's
and it's
I
a
hope it
great
gets
time
better.
to be in.
Yes.
But do you feel that it's also very momentary? Because when we say pan-India audience, because of a few films that have worked down south, South is today getting respect. And I hope that that continues because they deserved that respect for the longest time.
Yeah.
They're getting it today. And everybody is like Prithviraj Sukumaran said in an interview that, but this could also be a phase. We have to make sure that this phase never ends. For
Right.
us as regional film industries also, we shouldn't do content for which the respect towards us again diminishes. And you stand up for the same things, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So I always felt, South industry, especially Malayalam.
Yeah.
Malayalam is like industry is about 20-30 years ahead of the all India cinema.
Extremely progressive.
If you heard
Yeah.
about their recent film Manjumal Boys, which is like creating waves. It's about 10 guys who decide to go to a cave. Now that's the story. And that film is just creating waves pan India, as we say. So I feel they've always been ahead. It's great that they're being recognized right now. And
True.
I feel Hindi has had its best films, some of which I can, relate from the time I was in school, from Mr. India to Black to Dangal to Milka Singh to whatnot. So we cannot say that this was doing well and this was not, and today this is doing well. No, like Prithvi says, it's a phase. But saying that, I'm so glad South has been recognized because they were doing equal stuff.
Yes.
And never known. Like I said today, when Madhavan and I mean, Madhavan is of course known. When I walked into the Shaitaan set as a South Indian actress, I was given a lot of respect, and it just felt beautiful. And yeah, the phase should continue, and it will, because they are not going to stop making good films.
Absolutely.
So it's going to continue.
Absolutely. I hope it does. And I hope that we all become one, because I'll give you an example of an incident. I give it in many interviews, but that's actually the reality. It was 2015, and I think Bahubali was releasing in 2015. And Bajrangi Bhaijaan was also releasing around the same time.
Another fabulous film.
Yeah. And I was just 1 year old in Mumbai. So I was, of course, a junior reporter and everything for DNA. And we were this gang of 4 young journalists who were just starting off. So when they divided us into group interview parts, so they would keep all of us together because we were the newer lot. I remember we had an interview with Rajamouli sir scheduled at 4:15 in Juhu. And they call us and they say, come quickly because there's been a situation. Why didn't you just come early? It was supposed to be a 15 minutes conversation with the 4 of us. It went on for 1 hour because the other groups didn't realize who Rajamouli was. And they didn't turn up. And the movie released. And everything changed. And today the same people are, if I may use the word, almost begging sir to do interviews, and he doesn't have the time to do it. And that's how life changes. And I feel like there has been differential treatment given out to regional actors for the longest time.
Yes, there has been. But today it feels great.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been, you're right. Because, and not to blame anyone, I think languages were huge barriers.
True.
I think the OTT has come in and just broken all them. Like my kids, if you ask me, they watch Korean and every other language and, you know, Spanish films, and they're much ahead. So you don't know what's happening with the next generation and what kind of a language barrier further will be broken. So I think whatever said and done, it's great. It's great to have the best of both together. And I, you know, personally, I'm a Punjabi and now a Tamilian, of course.
Yeah.
So I feel like on top of the world. I feel like wow, because I've seen some amazing films in Hindi and some amazing films in South.
Absolutely.
And I can never say they are good or suddenly, you know, they were
We are
good.
collectively very good.
Yeah, we are just so good. And there are pros and cons to both the sides. There are.
Yeah.
There are. Like I would say women should be encouraged in South. You know, I do feel that. I feel the writing is par excellence in Malayalam films as compared to Hindi right now. So there are those pros and cons on both sides, but I feel the blend is fabulous. At the end of the day, we are here to make good films,
Absolutely.
entertain the audience, and, you know, project Bollywood in a much more real manner. So I think we're breaking that and we're coming out of the whole glitz and glam, and we're trying to hit reality
Absolutely.
with the right combination. So
I think actors from all the industries really want that, and it's a genuine want and desire that they have, that we all collectively come together and become the biggest. Because if we all collectively come together, we'll be the biggest industry ever.
Yeah.
Because the amount of films that we do in a year to entertain, it's incredible. And in the budget that we do compared to all the people who get like massive budgets to do the same maybe in the West.
yes.
You know, let's go back to the start. This is where I wanted to start now. And everybody would have asked you about the beginning of the, because there's been a gradual shift, like you said, in your opinion towards the roles that you had.
Yeah.
You started off in 93, if I'm not mistaken.
Should be.
Vali,
No, it was around 96, 97.
96, 97?
Could be,
Okay,
around that
I
time.
might have gone wrong.
That's
But you started with a film called Vali, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen to you? And you started off really young. You were in Mumbai, if I'm not mistaken. You were studying. And how did that happen?
So I started with a Hindi film with Doli Saja Ke Rakhna with Mr. Priyadarshan and Akshay Khanna, and that bombed. So
But
then that
everybody
was
loved
the
you.
end
Have
of.
you seen the critical reviews?
I know, but then that was the end of Hindi, because I think your first film has to run here. I mean, those days back then, and there was a bandwagon of girls then when I had come in. We had Preeti Zinta, and we had a lot
Rani
of girls.
Mukherjee,
Lot of them, like we have 10, 15 of them. So the first film had to run. And then, of course, because my sister also worked down south, and so I just, and we shot Doli Saja Ke Rakhna in Chennai. So what happened was, on the set, I had a very good director, Mr. Vasant. He came and he just signed me for a good subject, and I signed on that film. So that was undercurrent happening with this. And then this didn't take off, and that did. So the diversion and the journey. And that film was actually not Vali. It was a film, my first film was with Suriya, my husband. And Vali just happened to release before that. That's it.
Which film
Which
was
was
this?
my first film. You're right. According to you, it's the first film. But work-wise, my first film was with my husband Surya, called Puvalam Ketupar.
Oh.
It was something on the lines of Saudagar, I think. You know, where they interchange homes to go and convince the parents for marriage. And yeah, I was 17 then. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Very
And
young.
it's been such a journey, you know. But did you never feel, were you actually, did you get that feeling or that sense from the Hindi industry that because my film didn't work, so the roles dried up? Or what was the thing?
To be frank, yes. That's how it worked. And probably that's how it works even today.
Yeah.
You know, I've
It's
not been
true.
in this scenario, but
No,
that's
it's
how
true.
it works.
Charte
And
Suraj ko salami.
definitely, I did visit a couple of offices after the film. Since I came from Bombay, it was always a dream to make it big in your own language. But I clearly knew it's not working. And luckily, you know, I had that one film and I had a channel, and then that really worked out. So I just drifted away, and I had some fabulous films in my first innings in South. It was with Mr. Kamal Hassan, it was with Madhavan, with Mr. Mani Ratnam, with Surya. So it just took off. And then there was no looking back.
But did it hurt you at that point? Because you
Yeah,
know
of
you're a
course it did. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
It hurt me. My first film didn't run. I cried, as kids would cry. And but then you have to move on, right? Life goes on. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm very thankful. Like I said, the body of work I have done there
Yeah.
as an actor, I don't know if I would. You never know, but I think I don't know if I would be able to do the same here. So I am very thankful for the journey, and that upliftment there has got me back home today too, to the Hindi cinema, and it's
Yeah.
very overwhelming because all this work is just coming home, and
Yeah.
I feel extremely proud of those innings, to have set me on a platform.
But like I said, it's a loss for the Hindi film industry to not have somebody like you. And
Thank you.
it's a fact. Like I and when I say that, I say with utmost respect that I don't mean that you shouldn't do South and do Hindi films. I think you should do 4 films in 4 different languages.
Yeah, I am. So my one was Malayalam, now is Hindi. South is in my blood. Right now, it can't come out of me.
Shouldn't.
No, it's just too embedded inside me. So
Also, they gave you the respect and the position that
Yes,
you
yes,
genuinely
there's-
had ambitions for. And
Yes.
why not?
Like my first reaction to a crew also is, Acha, you're South Indian in the crew.
I
you're
saw
South-"
that.
Oh, I just I feel at home at both the places
Yeah.
now. And Hindi is like my mother tongue, so I'm very comfortable when I see a Hindi person there. I'm like, "Arey, aapko Hindi aati hai?" Like, so it's just that I've got best of both. So
When we talk about your performances, very early on in your career, you did a film called Moli.
yes, Muli.
Mori.
Even I'm not perfect. It's a learned
Yeah,
Tamil, which is
और
very.
वो ना मेरे से होता ही नहीं है, मतलब हिंदी में भी जो
It's fine.
टंग री होता है वो र मेरे से होता ही नहीं है, पता नहीं कैसे. But thankfully I said that and I didn't say something else which I was calling
Yeah,
it, to be
the
very honest.
ZHI.
Yeah. You were almost in the running for a national award then.
Yeah,
right?
I missed it
It
by
was-
one vote, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know that by then you had already established yourself.
You've really done your homework. That's a lot of homework.
And by then you'd already established yourself, right? National award is a huge
Yes.
impetus or an encouragement to an artist.
Yes.
Did it hurt you then? Did it hurt similarly when you were younger?
Yeah, younger, of course, I didn't. I was. None of the films went for a national award in my first younger innings. But Murli, yes, it was very special. I played a deaf and mute girl, and it's really very close to my heart. It was a tough film. It was a brilliant team, very well written, and yeah, it does feel bad when you miss it. By just that one vote, it did feel very. But we're still in the reckoning. We're still in the run.
You are getting it this year, I hope.
Thank you.
Because I think that people like you deserve that encouragement. Or you have one as a producer, but it's time you have one as a best actress also.
Yes, thank
and
you.
you will definitely
I'll
get
try till the end.
it. No,
I will.
we are all gonna root for you and be there for you.
Thank you.
There are so many films that you did in that phase which commercially went on to become like blockbusters, right?
Yeah.
How did you not let the stardom hit you? When I see your interviews, ma'am, and now that I'm meeting you for the first time, but even in your interviews, I see that there is this woman who is extremely strong, independent, but also equally warm and kind towards people. Sometimes when you are a star, when stardom really hits you, it can go either way. You
Right.
can start having a sense of entitlement. How did you keep that away?
So I think it's largely to do with, I think also it's halfway to do with the person you are, of course. We all are individuals. But it's
Absolutely.
largely to do with the Tamil film industry and the humble home that I'm married into. And this I'm really saying it because Surya's family is very real, very down to earth.
True.
We still follow the village traditions at home. And in general, South is a little more grounded and traditional. The atmosphere, even in a rich home versus a middle class versus a poor,
Yeah.
you'll see the similar ceremonies are happening. And I just kept seeing them. And I think you become, part
One
of
of
that
them.
culture and the tradition. And I'm more a South Indian at heart today. Even when I'm in Bombay, I sleep by 9:30. I'm up at 6, and it's just got into my blood, like I said. So I think all your humility comes from the people around you and what you learn from life. And I've largely learned a lot from Surya's family. And I must say, even the Tamil film industry, I can speak for them since
Yeah.
I worked there largely. They are very humble, very low-lying in nature. They are very even the way we work.
Yeah.
You know, it's very different from the way we work here. Or I've hardly done work here, but it's very different. It just happens. You know, everyone's just together.
On relationships.
It's very easy.
Based on
It's very
relationships.
easy going, and a film gets made very quickly. A lot of films which you feel are very large canvas on screen also, you'd be surprised how easily they make it technically. You know, it's just shot like in some jungle or somewhere, and you're like, wow, what are these visuals? So I think the whole atmosphere is like very low-lying and humble, and everybody's just sitting together. So I think it all comes from, you know, where you are.
Also, your upbringing, I feel that has got a lot to do with everything. Like I always, anybody who tells me nice things, I always say that it's because of my mother and my father.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, it was not just the luxuries of life or the life they have given me, but I genuinely lead my life with the value system that my mom and my father.
Definitely. Parenting has a lot to do, and your individual nature
Yes.
has a lot to do
Yeah.
with it. But largely, I feel it's even for, if I have to take, for example, my daughter, who's a teenage today, I think she's largely influenced by her friends and the circle she's in, and the kids who are really interested in studying. You know, then if they are her friends, then she ends up studying. So you know, it's largely
like
by the
that,
people around
surrounding.
you also. As you keep unfolding from one phase to another, I think it's nice to have the right people around you, and definitely, like you said, upbringing and parenting is the core of everything.
Jyotika ma'am, I have read it somewhere. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Again, research. Is it true that you were the one who recommended Suriya sir for Kakha Kakha?
Yes, it's true, but it was just a recommendation. Then the director went and saw his film, and he loved him on screen. I repeatedly say this, it's all his work. And he went and saw him, he liked him, and he casted him. But it was just me saying, why don't you, you know, see this? And we were very much, you know, in love with each other then. And it was the beginning of our love story. So, you know, he did the same for me. We were just like,
Absolutely.
we just wanted to be together. You know, those typical... not teen rather, but the early 20s.
But that's okay. Young love stories.
Yeah.
I think your love story with him is iconic.
Yeah, it's a boring one. You know, I met him and then we fell in love, and then, you know, we were together for those 15 years and we got married, and it's like a very straight...
It's not boring. Considering the definition of love in our generation and the generations to come, when you will deal with your kids' generations in terms of love,
I know.
Trust me, it's not boring. It's very endearing, and it's also very aspirational. But when you speak about your love story, it's also a marriage of equals. And when I talk about Kakha Kakha, it actually changed Suriya sir's career in a very different way. I
Yeah.
think you brought that lady luck to him, and he also brought that balance in your life. How do you see that? Because in that love story, it's a marriage of equals. And when you were dating also, it was a relationship of equals. How important is it for a strong woman like you to have that?
I think you're equal when you respect each other, when you appreciate each other, and when you give each other a space, and when there is a friendship between a
Yeah.
couple. I think these four factors balance everything out, and then love and all happens because of these four things. But I think with Surya and me, it was always appreciation and respect, which is larger, I think, which has to be from the male side, because 80% women tend to, you know, respect and love. But I think when it comes from the man, it means a lot to a woman.
True.
And so I went back to work. You know, I started when I wanted to. I stopped when I wanted to. I've drifted to Mumbai today. I'm here with my kids. So he's been supportive the whole journey. So I think I think it's equals. When you call it equals, it's not professionally, or it's not when you're alpha in your own strata. It's more to do with appreciation and respect. I think that goes a long way. And space.
Yeah.
I think all these three go a long way.
And it's true, and how both beautiful artists in one house. And I want to know, like, do you I know that you guys don't decide for each other, but do you bounce off the projects that you're doing, and how does one react to each other's projects?
So I've said this earlier, like, I decide my projects and we both decide his.
Best.
No, so he has a mind of his own. He has a market situation which he has to also deal with. But there are two things which are commendable about him. He always picks a good story. He never is part of a movie because it has to be, you know, he's just added elements, and his films always have a good story. And another thing I have to proudly say about him, which is also one of the reasons I fell in love with him, every film of his has a good part for the woman.
Absolutely, I was coming to that.
Yeah, every film. He never gives her the, the back space. She's always in the forefront. Sometimes, if you see Jai Bhim, which
Yes,
is his,
I was going to speak
which
about
is his
that.
recent, I feel Lijo Mol, the film was on her, and he just padded it because he was for the whole script and the storyline of education, which he largely believes in. So I think that about him is commendable, and
Also very secure. Something is so secure about
Yeah.
him that
Yeah,
he
he is.
he also is a man who knows his position, and he
Yeah.
channelizes it in a way that helps other people around him, whether it's man, woman, or a child.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being somebody who's an idol, who's considered an idol. And lovely, because I was coming to that, because I was
Yeah.
coming to Jai Bhim,
Yeah.
that there are very few films like that. And you've spoken about it so much in the last few years also, because I feel that, ma'am, when you speak about it as a strong woman, many other strong women are voiceless because they don't have the power in their own hands. They don't get to decide for themselves some of the times. They also have the fear of being cancelled. And in any culture, I'm not talking about any particular industry, but in any space, because they're a woman and they shouldn't raise their voice, or they shouldn't raise their opinions beyond a certain amount. But then there are also very few men like your husband who will
Yeah.
actually let the woman go ahead, or at least walk alongside and not walk back.
Right.
You know, what do you have to say about that? There is such a lack of male representation in terms of superstars in films that have a really strong female character, and it's tiring to call them female oriented films.
Yeah.
But in a film that is led by a strong female protagonist, why do we not have many superstars doing that?
That's exactly what I said few questions ago, that we need the men to have that mindset. That's where I spoke about Mammootty and Ajay.
Yeah.
Like taking, allowing, I feel what Ajay has done is, I find it very surprising, because now you let a man take, the front row. So that's even more of a
Yeah.
giver, but I feel, yeah, the change has to come from the superstars, from the bigger guys. We're all waiting for it. And, films are running. Good
Yeah.
films are running at the end of the day. So it's a learning for them to make that change.
A few years ago, I saw this interview, this beautiful interview that you had done during COVID with Sir for Anupama ma'am.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely interview. She's amazing. And I actually wanted to interview both of you since then, because I felt there was so much of sensibility and sensitivity in the same conversation, which is very difficult to achieve as a conversationalist. You don't get that often. In that interview, he beautifully speaks about, I could do what I wanted to because I had the support of my wife, who actually took care of the kids for that much time when they really needed the parent the most. You were in your prime, you were delivering one blockbuster after the other.
Yeah.
When you decided to take that break, as a working professional, it is very difficult. Homemaking is the toughest job.
Yeah.
My mother is a homemaker, and I know.
It is.
But as a working professional, even to take that small break is very difficult. When my father has worked for 42 years, when he was retiring, we were more concerned about how he would take the whole not going to work. So we were trying to keep him busy. Like, that's the kind of mindset that we have grown up with. It's very difficult, equally difficult, and even more for a working professional woman. How did you manage it? Was it difficult in the beginning? Was it emotionally?
Actually, I didn't think so much that time. I was just so madly in love, and we had decided that we want to have our babies in time. And when you meet the right man,
Yeah.
You don't, everything else takes a back seat. And since I had to have the babies, which is God's decision, since I was the one, I had to take that 3-4 years, and then time just flew. And I don't know, it was just all out of love, and we never thought, okay, the career is going to stop or
Absolutely.
anything. And maybe that's why it just restarted. There was not too much of a thought given to it. In fact, to be very frank, there's not too much of a thought given to my entire career, except for what I choose.
Yeah,
except
that's
for what
what I
I
was coming
choose.
to.
But it's been coming. It's been coming. I think it's the energy you attract. It's the aura. It's the these films which I'm doing today. I'm doing Ajay's film, a film with Rajkumar Rao, and my Dabba Kaathal series. I think it's just come. It's just the energy which you attract. And there's not a lot of thought given to anything except choices. And I think when your intentions are clear, your heart is pure, you're happy. Happiness is the bottom line for everything. I think when you're happy, it just all falls in place. And leaving my career, quitting was not even, I was happy not to be in the caravan for a while. And, when you see your babies, so, there's no bigger joy. So it never
True.
felt like I gave up something for that. And of course, I got lazy, all that. But then, when Mupattar Vaidinile came,
Absolutely.
which is in English at the age of 36, if I have to
Yes.
translate it, then things just changed. And, that film also came home. The director just walked in and said, can we, do this? And Suriya was like, yeah, let's do it. It's a very nice one for your comeback. And things just took its own. We never thought so much. And like I say, when you're in love, when you meet the right person, actually, there's no thought process behind it. You just
Absolutely.
flow. That's it.
And it's so beautiful that you speak like this, because when we speak about that film, Mupattar Vedanile, which is 36 Vedanile, it's given wings to so many women, and not just
Yeah.
actresses. There's been a constant shift. If you see, like, people have really. I always tell my mom that she's such a good artist. So now I tell her that, listen, mom, I'm in a position, not just financially, but I can actually support you in many ways, where she
lovely.
loves painting on saris. She would see a blank canvas and she'll just paint something, and she's beautiful. But it's just that while taking care of us and taking care of the whole household, she didn't get time to do it. I'm like, now is the time. You go ahead and do it. And the films like Tumhari Sulu, which again you did a remake of,
Yeah.
these are films very personal also, right? Did it feel personal when it came to you? Because you were at that stage where you also were, you are always ambitious. And you came and did a film which spoke the language, like a Sridevi ma'am when she did English Winglish. I feel that was a perfect comeback because it raised the right.
Yeah, I think it's the
Conversation.
toughest character to do.
Yes.
I've played a, Rachisi, I've played a government school teacher, I've played Chandramukhi, some ghosts, I've done a lot of deaf and dumb. But I feel to play a household woman is the toughest character to perform in, because you have to peer straight into their hearts, and they are strong, they are opinionated, they are hardworking, they are the pillar, the foundation of the family. To
True.
pierce into them, their heart, is like the toughest job to do on screen. So I just felt these roles were very powerful. And
Absolutely.
especially Mupattar Vaidinile, it depicted working even from home. It said just go out there and live your life, basically. And we also had a very nice feedback for the terrace gardening. There was a lot of terrace gardening where organic vegetables were grown. So I think it was a film
A lot of
which
people
did-
have started doing that also.
Yeah, yes. It brought a radical change. And but yes, these are the toughest characters. The real characters, as I say, when you can do a horror film, you can do a ghost, but when you come down to a real family woman, I think that's the toughest character.
You got a state award for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I got the state, I got the film fair, I got a couple of awards for after the comeback.
I have seen this, like when I interviewed Rani Mukherjee even last week. She said that when she was coming back after marriage and motherhood, she felt like a newcomer. And because of the societal judgments and whatever the conditioning, she said that for the first time in my life, even on my first film set, I didn't question myself. But for the first time, I was questioning myself that will I be able to do it? And that actually resonated with the numbers and the love that she got from the audience from the next few films. It's happened like with you as well. In the beginning, before you started that movie or before the release, did you feel extremely anxious or nervous about the result?
You haven't faced the camera for 7, 8, 10 years. So there's always a nervousness about coming back. And Tamil is a language I'm still trying to, master. Though I speak it, but when it's written and it comes in form of a dialogue, I do have to mug and I do have to do some homework. So there are always jitters. When if you leave work for 3 months and you get back,
Yeah.
you feel you're out of the
Yeah.
zone. So yes, there a lot of nervousness, but like I say, when you connect to the film, there is one kind of honesty towards it, and then everything works mentally for you.
At home, now that the kids have grown up a little and they understand, which has been their most favorite performances of yours and Sir's?
So they like a couple of my films, but Mopatyar is one of their favorite. They loved Shaitaan because they were on the edge of their seat and they're teenagers today. So that kind of a subject appeals to them a lot. And somewhere they saw themselves as those kids. So, they felt they are in the film. And I think that is, my son came and told me, Amma, I think this is one of your best films. So
This is true.
which made me just look at him because I've done a large body of work there. But I think the kids related to a lot. So they loved Shaitaan for 100%. I can say that. And what was the other part
And what is their favorite film of Sir?
of his? Oh, they've loved Jai Bhim for
It's a
sure.
Indian film.
Singham. Singham is what they like a lot, and there is a list actually.
Surarai.
There is a list. There's a long list of his films.
But is there
They love Gajni. They're a big
Gajni.
fan of Gajni also.
Is there this is a fun question, but because there are two incredible artists under the same roof, and the most important people in that house are the two kids. So is there a fight for validation as artists from the kids between you and Surya sir?
No, not really. I think the kids are connected and disconnected to our world.
World.
Yeah, they're actually, I don't know what, they're in different worlds altogether. But yeah, we as parents from our end, I think we make a conscious decision to make sure that the kids are proud of the work we are doing.
Yeah.
This is between us. We have made that decision that we want them to go to school with their head held high, and
Yeah.
you know that this is a decision both of us have made after marriage.
Yeah.
So the validation is yes from their side, definitely that from our side actually we are making sure that we safeguard
conscious
their
Call.
yeah.
But ma'am, as a strong individual woman, professional woman, you've also taken a lot of stances for women in general, and sometimes that can meet with a lot of judgment and a lot of calling out, right? How do you face that? Like, because like I said, that there are many people who are just voiceless because they fear the whole kind of backlash that will come.
Yeah.
But that has happened so many times in your case also, because you've spoken what your heart aligns with,
Yeah.
and eventually in time today, if we see, whatever you've said 6 years earlier about movies and the change that you want to see are happening today, you know. But was it difficult for you to deal with that, the noise, or how do you deal with it, like, regularly on a daily basis?
No, I think a woman's career in the film industry is very difficult.
Yeah.
Right? She has to keep adapting to the changes, and very sadly, as she keeps aging, it gets more tougher because the roles get minimized, and
Yeah.
we're still having a lot of gender inequality happening in our cinema. So there is always a battle, but I think your choices, you have to also have the luck. A lot of factors which play a part. I
True.
can't come out there and say, oh, I sat back and did this and it's going to work for everyone. No, the luck factor is huge. The kind of backing you have is huge. I don't shy to say I do have my husband's backing.
True.
And you know, I appreciate that, and I have his fans loving me, so that works for me also, and it helps me to even decide and say no to certain things, make my choices. So it works differently for everyone, but there is a big battle. It's a big battle for women out there, and I feel coming to Hindi also, I feel we have now really opened up to the women above 35.
Yeah.
And is it thankful to the OTT platform, or I don't know in general, but
I think the audience also has changed
yes,
a lot.
I think we're getting some great roles to do and, you know, perform. And we are getting there in South. And I hope, you know, we still see more of the veteran actresses there come on screen and perform. So I think it's a bigger battle for the women than men, and that's going to be a constant. So definitely my journey doesn't speak about it. I did have a little bit of support. I do have my own stand, of course, but it's also...
But sometimes that stand, actually, although you have support, you have to deal with a lot of negativity yourself.
Yes, definitely. Your path, your process, and your destination is decided by you.
Yeah.
So I have said no to a lot of big work, which has been absolutely my choice because I felt I didn't belong in that zone. So definitely, I think we should learn to stand tall without wearing
Yeah.
those heels. You know, we have to stand tall in our minds, and that's the change even women have to bring about. But like I said,
Absolutely.
I cannot say that because everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
But it's a battle. It's a huge battle for women. So
But I think today women don't fear saying a no if they don't really like something.
that's great.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. That's great. And I'm also very happy. I'm seeing a lot of the South girls who are much younger to me and are fabulous actors, just like our Janki. They're all coming to Hindi, and you know, we're having our Sai Pallavi coming, and we're having Nimisha coming, and you know, it just feels great to see that now there is like the barriers have all
Yeah, it's a
been
level
reduced.
playing field for everybody.
Yeah, and these girls are fabulous.
Only that as a fan, as a person who admires you as an artist, and as a human being, everybody wants to see you and Surya sir in a film.
Yeah, I know. We're looking out. No one has a story for us. I mean, I've always said this. No one has a story. No one's even come to narrate, and we've said no, we don't like this. Or people haven't actually written. I think they like us off screen more than they would like to see us on screen. But we're happy. We're maybe probably at home also. Both of us shoot also. Both of us we might be quite overdone with each other.
Not at all. I think it will be an
We're
incredible
waiting.
film.
No, we're waiting for the right thing to come. We don't want to do the regular cliche stuff,
Yeah.
and we're just waiting for that, something exciting.
I think something progressive, maybe,
Yeah.
is something that would excite you and attract you, because from the conversation I've realized that. I just hope that there are many more women who represent this breed of women that you belong to, and there are more voices like yours, because it has never been snubbed. And I always feel that it's lovely to have a conversation with somebody who's willing to speak out their mind and their heart, and also willing to listen to the other person. Thank you for being that person, not just to women, but to men and kids at large. It takes a lot to be a superstar, but it takes even more to be a superstar and still be as empathetic towards everyone around you. And you are that person.
Thank you.
I feel gentler after this conversation, and that's the beauty of Jyotika ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nayandeep. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I always say this, that if she can, you can too.
Hi, I'm Jyotika, and you're watching me on Galatta India.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.